Now we're joined by a very kind guy who's been great to us, Andy LaVallee, and he's actually here to talk about something that he's done that's extraordinary. He's written a book, From the Hub to the Heart, right here, and he has another book, and it's great during the Lenten season, Guide to a Bread and Water Fast. So thanks so much, Andy, for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And for everything you do. I mean, you do blinks. You brought bread into us before. You've run the gamut.
I remember the day when Father Reed had all the flour all over his black. You know, that was so beautiful that day.
To this day, by the way, the best bread I ever ate.
We'll have to bring you some more.
All right, so you go from a bread baker, owning a huge bakery, to an author. How did you get from that to that journey?
You know, Jay, being a baker and being in the bakery industry is pretty easy. Being an author was very difficult.
Really?
Very difficult for me. I can share with your leaders, I was telling Bonnie earlier, is that in high school, I wasn't one that was, going to class on a regular basis. So I flunked English in high school. So to have a book now, it's really, truly the work of the Holy Spirit and the work of God. God can do a tremendous amount with a simple yes. And this book is a prime example of that.
Well, tell us about the book. What is it all about?
It's basically about my conversion. It's about my story. It's about how I got invited to go on a pilgrimage to Medjugorje by Jim Caviezel, and my life changed to a life confession. The beginning, first 2 chapters, is a little bit about all the sins and all the hurt that I had for people that loved me, the people that I wanted to be with, who I was kind of living a different, divided life. And now, as we went along, really having God permeate each vocation as a husband, as a father, as a grandfather, as a business leader, now has kind of organized everything. And that's really what the book is about. How you can, I'm just telling the story of really what happened to me.
And is it a good example, you think, Andy, that while we might leave God, He never leaves us?
It's so important to understand that. I think that you can look at the scene. The scene is, Peter trying to walk along the water, and there's Christ reaching for Peter. But are we always reaching up for Him? That's a framing that's in my office every day, and I look at when the challenges that we have.
Well, this journey has been about a decade or so, and it's been powered by the Rosary. Tell us a little bit about your Marian invitation.
I'll always remember telling Jim Caviezel when he asked me on the first time to go to this pilgrimage, don't get your hopes up. I'm not going to fly 15 hours to say a rosary. But now today I pray a rosary. I pray it from the heart. Yeah. And it's a lot different. When Our Lady, I'll be forever grateful for her for bringing me back to her son. The way she did it probably wouldn't have been the way I chose to do it, but I'll be forever grateful that she did that. I can tell you that men today, as the head of the family, the rosary is something that you need to have. It's a weapon. It's a weapon against the evil in our world to protect our families, our wives, our children, and it's a very good weapon to have against Satan. And for me personally, in chapter 5 of the book, I talk about things that work for me. The rosary is something that really, really and truly works for me.
So why ultimately did you write it? Is it to evangelize? Are you trying to help other people along the path? Why did you do it?
It was the furthest thing from my mind, Jay. I didn't want to do that. My friend and your good friend Andreas Widmer prompted me to you got to tell the story. You got to tell the story. And the more time I spent in adoration, it was clear to me that God wanted me to tell that story. So what I wanted to do through this book was to share my stories of what had happened to me, the good and the bad, okay? And how God has really brought me to an entirely different point in my life, and how the events you have in your life sometimes, those that you may not look at very promisingly, like a death of a loved one or something that may happen, those events are events that God plans for you later in your life, and for you to be open and open your heart to those. And so I just wanted to share with people what had happened to me. And I think in a lot of ways, as men, we're very prideful. It's a matter of just sharing, and hopefully that they can learn from those experiences.
Well, people are familiar with you too because you've done blinks for us here on Catholic TV, and they're big during the Lenten season, which we're in. And you have this book, Live the Fast. Boy, I mean, look, you have books all over the place at this point. Tell us about this.
Well, Darcy Nielsen really was the one that wrote this book, and it's really a combination of all of the questions we get from our community of believers that want to fast. How do you fast? What about the saints in fasting? What about the scriptures in fasting? And it's a combination of all of these, and it's a beautiful guide to have if you're going to fast during Lent and throughout the year.
And if you would give people one recommendation on how to grow closer to God, what would you say?
I would say, especially those that may have some medical problems where they can't fast on a regular basis, fast from your schedule. Fast from your schedule. Spend time with our Lord in adoration, and if not, you can't go to adoration in front of the tabernacle, and pray to him and ask him to come into your life. Because if you open your heart to him, you will be very much full of the grace of God.
From the hub to the heart, my journey, where can people get a copy, Andy?
You can go to Live the Fast at our website. We have it there. It's also at Amazon Print and Amazon Kindle.
Very good. Well, thank you so
God
much
bless
for
you.
being
Thanks
with
for having
us.
me.